Gotta see if I'm running. 10:50. Nah, man. It was supposed to start at midnight. Are we running yet? I don't know. By the way, if I'm running and talking and you're wondering what it is I'm talking about, all right, we're going to check the volume. Checking the volume. All right, fantastic. It sounds good. I'm actually going to start right now. If you're wondering why you're looking at this fucking guy, well, hey, it's Onision. And Onision put out a video today. Yeah, and it's an interesting one. It was very clickbaity. He titled it "I Deserve an Apology," and I thought to myself, he deserves an apology. That's weird. Why would Onision deserve an apology? What happened? What internet drama happened that would need an apology for Onision, one of the most offensive, dim-witted dumbasses on the internet? Don't get me wrong. I think he's funny on occasion, but he's got some really, really goofy ideas. I don't like all his ideas. And look at this. This is like the worst. This is like the least flattering picture screen cap that I could have found. I mean, he's like a stoned demon, man. A fucked up stone demon. It's not good. It's not good. It looks like he's going to eat your soul because he's got the munchies. And here's the thing. You can float through the whole video. His eyebrows don't really change. They got that constant, like, he's got a migraine and hates everybody all at the same time look on his face. And here's the thing, the end of his video is very funny. It's actually a very funny ending because he's kind of that dumb funny thing. But honestly, his whole explanation for what the problem was, which was a whole bunch of people calling him a pedophile and a pervert, his reasoning for why he thinks it's okay seems a little weak. He does preface it. Preface. That's the word I'm going to run with. Preface. No, it's preface. He prefaces with, there's a difference between fully developed young adults and children. And, he also states that there's a difference between, judging somebody's body and having sex with them or dating them or whatever. So, I will give him credit where credit's due, but basically his argument boiled down to, when did we judge attraction by the numbers? It was his thing was about the number at which somebody is an adult, 18 years old. Well, they created laws like that for a reason, because we all kind of agreed 18's about when someone's is the earliest point in which they're probably adult enough to make their own decisions. Granted, send them to war, you can smoke, you can have sex, you can work at a strip joint, you can do porn, but you can't drink. So we're a little goofy on that whole age thing. So I will give him that. We're a little goofy with the numbers. I seem to be thinking that as much as I just, because here's the thing, his whole defense is really weak, is the best way to put it, because he's not wrong. He really isn't, because he's not doing anything wrong. People send him pictures and he judges them, but it doesn't make it any less creepy. He's missing the point. If people are calling him a pedophile, that's stretching the term, and it's a lot like pointing at somebody and being like, "You're a racist," when they're probably not. It's just, they made a slightly off-color joke. It's not the same. So I definitely think he's a pervert. I don't think he would argue with that at all. He's looked at porn. He talks about everything under the fucking sun. So it's one of those things that, as much as I want to hate him, I totally get his reasoning, even if I still think he's kind of creepy for doing it. Like if 15-year-olds were sending me pictures of their bodies with my name, idiot, written on the side, that would be kind of accurate. I wouldn't judge them. And if I thought it was close, like if, because he was saying, they don't always send me their ages. if I was at all thinking it was close, I probably would skip it, which means I would probably end up skipping a lot of people because I'm sorry, you didn't put your age. I don't know why I don't have that as a thing. As you know, I'm not going to accept pictures from under 18. Save you a whole lot of trouble there, Onision, if you just say under 18, no, you can't. You're not allowed. And that would definitely save him from everybody calling him a pedophile. I hope everything is running. There you go. There's a nice picture of a lady. I'm just making shit. Did I lose it? No, I didn't. I'm still going. I don't know. I'm talking to myself. So there's Onision. Hold on a second. Gotta get back to the way things were. Had it all set up nice. So yeah, while I definitely think he's a kind of creepy for doing that kind of thing, I can't say he's entirely wrong. It's not one of those. It's not one of those that if he's not fucking any of them. Although he does have a history. You know, his wife met her at 17. I can't remember if he admitted to, having sex with her underage, but that's none of my business because nobody filed any charges as far as I know. So basically, now that they're older, it doesn't really matter. And they were married, so it doesn't really matter. At this point, I think we should just let it go because he's getting an awful lot of attention. I think people are trying to destroy him with the whole pedophile. Oh, he does spew half-truths, does he? PC clown. Yeah, I definitely, he's one of those guys who does what I do. He just spits out opinions. But the truth is the truth. I don't think he slept with any of them. It's just basically creepy, and I would definitely say don't do it. Because at this point, he's just getting nothing but shit. I would just go ahead and, bite the bullet and say, fuck it, put 18 only, and save him a lot of fucking harm. Unfortunately, I don't think he can do that because I think that's the bulk of his fucking audience. If he started saying, hey, 15-year-olds, you're not allowed to send me your pictures, he'd be like, well, shit, I'm not going to watch you anymore because I wanted the attention. Unfortunately, he's so fucking creepy that it's hard to take him seriously. Even when he's defending himself, it's like, man, you should have taken another take. Those eyebrows are not doing you any justice. I'm actually kind of getting tired of talking about him because he's at this point. I don't think he deserves an apology. So fuck you, Onision. But keep judging people's bodies, I guess. I hope that they're actually of age that you can do that and not feel bad about it. Calling 15-year-olds fat. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about it now. I'm going to talk about Prince Charles and his fucking stupid little article he wrote here. The Guardian wrote about him. I don't know if anybody's read this or not. This came out on the 22nd on Thursday. Prince Charles, rising intolerance risks repeat of horrors of the past. Basically, he's talking about the rise of the right and some of the alt-right is going to turn into things like Hitler. It's going to be like the Holocaust, with people's anti-refugee thing. Which, from what I understand, aren't they doing it to themselves at this point? I have to check something really quick. Nope. I was hoping somebody might want to join me. Maybe PC Clown wants to get in on this and talk about something. I'm just talking about whatever the hell I want to talk about. There was no rhyme or reason to this. But this is one of those articles that really bothered me, mainly because it's from the Guardian. And I'm going to make this smaller so we can read it. This article, the Prince of Wales has warned the rise of populist extremism and intolerance towards other faiths risks repeating the horrors of the Holocausts. Speaking on BBC's Radio 4's Religious Thought of the Day slot, the Prince delivered an outspoken attack against religious hatred and pleaded for a welcoming attitude to those fleeing persecution, which I don't think people are doing. I don't think people are not being welcoming. The thing that they're having problems with are the illegal, the people that aren't actually refugees. They're war criminals that are hiding under the guise of refugees, but nobody wants to actually go through the process of dissimilating who is who. He said here, he said, we are now seeing the rise of many populist groups across the world that are increasingly aggressive to those who adhere to a minority faith. Unfortunately, that faith has had some extreme views, and those people that are fleeing the area, I imagine there are a lot of those extreme views. Not to mention, they seem to be causing you a bit of a rape problem. So, I don't know. When it comes down to foreign policy, and I understand the whole need to be, empathetic, is that sympathetic to people's problems and want to save people, but at the same time, you have to listen to your own fucking people. Who do you listen to first in a refugee crisis? Do you listen to the refugees who are coming in? You don't know them. They've done nothing for you. All they are people going from one location to another location. That is virtually all is known about them. Who do you believe first? Do you believe them, or do you believe your citizens who are saying we have no problem with refugees, we would love to help, but it seems that in these refugees is coming a bigger problem along with it, and that includes a bunch of people who don't want to work. From what I understand, I've read a number of reports from Germany where they want the government to basically house them for free, where they don't want to work and don't want to help out, even though that they're being housed there. But that's a different thing. So to continue on with what he said, all of this has deeply disturbing echoes of the dark days of the 1930s. I think he's misunderstanding the whole. I want to kick out the criminals and the rapists and the ones that are posing as children that are actually 25, 30 years old. Get them out of our country, because they're shitting in our house. I think you're mixing that up with gassing people, because that's what ended up happening. And I don't think that they started with ejecting Jews. I think they started with killing Jews. I could be wrong. My history on World War II is actually not the best. If they did start, ejecting illegals, and through a propaganda scheme, I would like to hear that out. That would be an interesting thing to talk about. But at the moment, I'm pretty sure you're overreacting at this point, and creating a bit of a hyper extremism mentality that we don't really need. Basically, you're down to join? All right. Well, are you on Minds right now, PC clown? Oh, there you are. One second. I gotta find this. I haven't done this. Is my first one, so I'm trying to figure out where there it is. Haha. There you go. I sent you the link to the Hangouts. All right, we're back to screen sharing this bullshit. This is one of those articles that bother me the most. Because it's coming from the Prince, and for some reason people listen to the fucking Prince. I don't know why. It's not like the Prince is anything. He's royalty. He didn't really earn his way on there.
Am I in?
Yep, I can hear you good.
All right, dope.
I
mean, the World War II thing, they deported Jews to not concentration camps, but to ghettos first, and then they started liquidating them and using them as slave labor later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But did they want? But they already lived there, didn't they? They were residents of Germany.
Well, they were residents of Germany, but then they were deported into these ghettos, which were kind of open air prisons, like large concentrations of just Jews. There's a lot of weird stuff.
Okay.
as it goes to that.
Okay, well, here, yeah, because here's the thing: the way he's describing it is the idea of kicking out. People are complaining about the criminals and the raping that's going on because there seems to be been a lot of reports of rapes that have been just all of a sudden skyrocketing in Europe, and seems to be Muslims. Yes,
Yeah, it tends to seem that
allegedly.
way. Maybe it's our confirmation biases,
So I
but
mean, it could be, but my point is, if that is if you have a sudden rise in crime and the only change is this sudden influx of refugees, logic would deduce that would be the first place you would look, right?
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I always say look at the trends, and the definitely trending in that direction.
But do you agree that kicking a bunch of people out that are mistreating your hospitality is the same as deporting citizens that were within Germany because of even if they're similar on racial, prejudice? Because I know there are some people that just don't like Muslims and don't like Islam.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think it's really stupid to conflate the Jewish Holocaust to like all these other things. Like even to say it's like a Holocaust. I mean, you can say it's a genocide in Syria, but a Holocaust is more of a concerted effort to just exterminate a specific group of people.
Yeah, well, what's going on in Syria is trying to get land, right? They're trying to take over the area
I don't know what's going on there. I mean,
because I thought it was a
try to
civil war.
find out as much as I can. I still can't figure out what's what.
Well, that I'm sure that's telling us a lot in and of itself.
Yes,
My concern is, it seems everybody runs to Hitler immediately when things don't go their way. I think Sargon put out a like a thing out like 2 weeks ago, saying everybody is literally Hitler. And it makes that mentality worse when the fucking Prince of Wales says it.
I think it'd be really interesting, like alternate history wise, how history would look back at Hitler if he didn't try to exterminate Jews, like, or didn't exterminate like 7 million people. Because I mean, when you think about it, Mussolini had a very similar ideology, except he didn't, of course, exterminate. Uh, I want to say what, around 12 million people in all,
There are
gypsies.
a whole bunch of varying degrees of numbers, and given the fake news, who the hell knows really? But
Yeah,
no, a lot of people, unless you're a Holocaust denier, then know people. But the yeah, that would be an interesting thought because he was a powerful leader, and if he didn't have such extreme views and the rather unfortunate extracurricular activities,
yeah,
he might have actually managed to be an incredible leader. It just I'm sure he would still have atrocities due to the war,
yeah. Of course.
but everybody had atrocities during the war. It was a
Yeah.
manner of this is so inhuman, it is unforgivable.
Yeah, everyone forgets about the FDR concentration camps. I've driven by them before. It's just like middle of nowhere. They still have some of the barracks, and yeah, they confiscated tons of property and businesses, which now would account to like in the trillions almost.
And let's not even
Um,
forget we're the only fucking nation on the planet to drop a nuclear bomb on living people.
yeah, I mean, part of the reason we're the first and only is because people saw the results. So
Absolutely. I mean, if
take
somebody's
it
going to
as you
do it,
will.
but at the same time, did we really have to be the ones? Come on. Although I'm glad we're not on the receiving end, I must admit.
I mean, we had to because I mean, if you look at the Russia was gonna invade Japan, and they kind of wanted to cease that kind of power grab, land grab, whatever you want to call it. So it was kind of a more pointed at the Russians in that case.
Well, imagine this though. Here's an interesting thought experiment. Imagine if we had beaten the Japanese without dropping the bomb. No bomb was dropped, and everything went back to normal. Cold War happens. Do we have a nuclear holocaust with the nobody dropping the bomb yet?
Well, I mean, there's the thing where you don't know exactly what the aftermath is, so you might have someone like Russia or us who do a preemptive nuclear strike to let's throw out Cuba when there was a Cuban Revolution and Russia was fucking around. Someone says the wrong thing or something happens and they nuke, and then there's a retaliatory strike, and then you know it definitely helped to have that deterrent there from seeing it what it actually is capable.
It seems to be the biggest deterrent because for the most part, that video footage of even just the model things, that's a powerful image that, you don't really want to be on the receiving end of that. And if everybody has their missiles pointed at everybody else at all times, there's no way to really launch a nuclear strike without having retaliation happening automatically.
Well, I think one of the larger reasons you don't have, I guess, nuclear, but I mean, large scale conventional wars anymore is because of technology, photography, videography. Because, I mean, you look at Vietnam, you had people reporting on the napalm strikes and all the carnage there. So that there's just no public will because it's not romanticized like it was during the Civil War or Revolutionary War. It's war's awful, and you see the destruction, like the nuke. If you didn't have pictures and video to really demonstrate what happened, you wouldn't have that deterrent.
Yeah, and sadly, it's not a deterrent enough. I mean, the Iraq War was 10 years, and it was well covered. Bomb strikes, and for like a year, it was every channel just had stuff blowing up. So in some country that or some part of some country that I couldn't pronounce with a lot of consonants.
Yeah, I think it's ironic because that shit continued through Obama, but they don't have the daily like soldier kill count that they did during Bush. Like,
well, that's because the Republicans of that time were war was they were proud of war. It was we're
the
beating them. We're over there. We're kicking ass. And the Democrats are like, we don't want war. We're going to I mean, we're going to still have war, but we're not going to show you.
Yeah, it helps to have control of the media complex as far as being able to, oh, look what the other side's doing. 10,000 people have died since 2002. And then, yeah, how many? I don't know how many people have died in Afghanistan since Obama took over.
I have not a clue. It's gotten to the point where you could kind of figure out who, you'd have a kind of a bit of variety in the news with with the multi news. Probably 10 years ago, you could get slightly different viewpoints and make your own decision. Now it's literally Fox News versus almost everybody else.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I look at Drudge, like, I know they're pretty biased, but as far as getting up to date on breaking news, they're pretty fast because they just curate all the different sites. So like when that Turkish coup was happening, I knew it was over 3, 4, 5 hours before CNN or Fox or MSNBC did.
Or before anybody who happens to watch those fucking places. Yeah. Yeah, my thing is though, when I see a news story, and this ends up coming now for every single news story, I'll see a news story and have to double check on all sides. I want to see what the Republicans are saying on this one, just so that I can, if they're close, then I know the story's probably accurate. But if they're widely different, now I have to investigate and read, and it hurts my head.
It's a pain in the ass. Yeah, the truth ends up being somewhere in the middle. Uh, that I've noticed. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I lean right, pretty far. But as far as news, I don't take anything at face value when I'm hear it because there's a lot of bullshit that's.
Well, I used to say that I was probably in the middle, neutral. I liked, that there were a lot of Republican ideas I liked and a lot of liberal ideas I liked. And unfortunately, because of what the left and the liberals have embraced as their unfortunately new ideology, I can't support it. And they do have good ideas. Unfortunately, they are an all or nothing package. And same for Republicans. I just happen to agree with more of their ideas than theirs.
Yeah, I just don't like people telling me what to do all the time.
And well, unfortunately, both of them are telling us what to do. It's just Republicans are not telling us what to say. And
I mean, they preach morality, but at the same time, you have all these Republican congressmen cheating on their wives with mistresses and all these call girls in DC and whatnot.
And of course, you have Trump, who just cannot seem to keep his thumbs to himself. I mean, man, that fucking Twitter feed goes off. The news just cannot keep up. Every little Twitter post, they're just like, "Oh my God, this happened," and Trump responded. It's like it's internet drama on a national level.
I think it's idiotic, but at the same time, it's kind of genius because like he just lends himself so much political cover and he can distract so easily. I,
And
I don't
well,
I don't like it. I'm just you
oh,
gotta
okay.
you gotta appreciate the tactic.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely see why he's doing it. It's not something I'm not going, "Oh, how could, he's the president. He has better things to do." I have to remember he's Donald Trump. He does what he fucking wants.
Yeah,
And
I tend to notice with Donald Trump, especially when he has free time, it's a no-no. But it seems when he's busy, he does a lot better. Like in down the stretch of the campaign, when he wasn't tweeting and he was staying busy, he was doing a much better job.
yeah, well, I hope it's, something fuck keep him busy, man. I honestly, I'm tired of hearing about his Twitter posts. If I really wanted to know about it, I'd go to his fucking Twitter feed.
Yeah,
Like I go
true.
to I go to the news so I can find out, stuff outside of the internet. If it's attached to the internet, I can get there myself, brothers.
Yeah, and it's like with Trump, 140 characters. Like they're reporting on 140 characters. That's like 2.5 sentences.
Yeah, who gives a shit? There's no context there. If at best he's talking shit and just enjoy it. He's not bad at it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main issues though with news and just everything in general. It's just all these narratives that change the context of reality. It's just because context is everything when it comes to making judgments on things such as news or statistics.
Oh, absolutely. That's what that's this article that I was talking about that I'm not going to finish. It's really fucking just it's dumb.
Yeah,
But the whole thing was a narrative to push about, it's the anti-Brexit and anti Trump. Everything is, they're going to the point where it's like it's getting so bad it's going to be a worldwide holocaust against the, Muslims, and we're going to be part of Hitler now. And
yeah, yeah, I agree with that notion. It's just the thing with liberals is just they get so mad when you just say no.
well, it's always a my way or the highway kind of mentality. In fact, and I can't you can't say that it's even the same way with, Republicans are exactly the same. Um, the idea of compromise is now a weakness, and I don't know when that happened, because it's hard to compromise. It's hard to sacrifice one of your ideals to help another person come closer to what you want.
Yeah, I think the biggest example of that would be the whole abortion argument. It's just like, I don't agree with abortion, but at the same time, you can't just say no abortion. Like,
You broke out on me. All right. Well, I think either you lost your internet connection or something.
oh yeah, my mic goes in and out
Oh,
sometimes.
okay. Anyway, what were you saying?
Abortion, it's just there's no compromise from either side. It's just either none or the minute before it's born. Maybe it should be like, yeah, let's pick like an area where it's you give them a little leeway, but at the same time they shouldn't be killing a fully formed baby.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that, and I can totally agree on a fixed date. Circumstances aside, just get it before a date, and that we all can agree on before, I don't know, thumbs form.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd say like 12 weeks is a pretty reasonable amount, but Europe actually has it a much.
Say again.
The whole abortion issue. It's kind of interesting how that happens.
That's kind of funny. You start to get all into your context of stuff, and your mic cut out.
Yeah, it just censors me. Donald Trump needs this microphone when he's doing interviews.
Yeah. Or fucking these radical feminists, the second for stupid Mike, when they start to open their mouth, something stupid comes out, just cuts out. Save a lot of people problems.
Yeah, it's yeah, going on Facebook because yeah, I'm in California. It's just get all this liberal stuff, and nobody ever tells these people you're delusional.
Oh, I tried.
'Cause-
That's actually why I got off of Facebook. I tried during the election thing. It was relatively quiet prior to the campaign, and then as soon as Donald Trump became a serious contender, Facebook became really impossible to mitigate because I wasn't on board with Hillary just because she wasn't at all trustworthy, and I really did not want Bill back in that fucking White House under any capacity because I hate that motherfucker.
You don't want them getting more interns.
No, no, not at all. And I just honestly, I don't know how he would handle the reality of being the first husband. I think, he would get so much shit that he just, I think it would, I think something bad would happen because of it.
Yeah, I have no idea. I think they're both hit a point where they are kind of sociopathic. At a point in politics, they had to step on so many throats by the time to get to that pinnacle of power where they don't give a shit.
And well, unfortunately, her failure pretty much ruined her career. Especially with the way it came crashing down around her about, even if zero of the things that are being talked about her on, the scandals, none of them are true. Just the sheer volume of them, nobody's going to want to touch her.
She has too much baggage. That's
And
what it
she's
comes down
unfortunately
to.
too old to really, and doesn't really offer much outside of her, outside of helping out with the Obama administration. Depending on what happens with this birth certificate thing, I'm going to be,
Nothing's gonna happen.
nothing at all. That would be weird because this is a completely new thing. It's never been outside of George Washington and probably the first 6 presidents who were born in England.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, his mom is a U.S. citizen, and so at the end of the day, he's still a U.S. citizen, naturally born.
Oh, absolutely. But a president that gets into office, but why put up a fraud? That's the biggest question. Because and again, this is a big if. I've only watched the hour-long press conference that the guy put out. I haven't done my own research into it, but if it is a fraudulent document, if it proves to be fraudulent, why would you put out a fraud document? What the fuck are you hiding?
Yeah, I don't know.
Want people to know I'm from Wyoming.
Oh shit!
I hate that fucking state. No, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, maybe you couldn't find it. You never. It's hard to say.
No, and that is a good point. The medical records at that time period might not have existed, and he went, "Fuck it, let's just make one. Nobody will care. I'll be president. It won't matter."
Yeah, I think there's a lot of other things in his background that I think are more damning than the whole birth certificate, like his relationship with Bill Ayers and
Yeah,
domestic terrorists and his hate preacher, like all these different things, and then the whole thing in the UN where he was conspiring against Israel is just treasonous almost to undermine a U.S. ally like that.
yeah. No, I haven't. It's one of those things that I don't follow him much because he's so fucking boring. He doesn't. He was the least fun president to pay attention to.
He was our first celebrity president, as I think Ben Shapiro always likes to put it.
Oh, we seem to have a new person. Hi, T. Thomas. Sorry, just wanted to give a little hi.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I see him.
Says I'm mad for it as well. I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, I'm sorry. I distracted. I had a bong hit and wanted to talk about some other things. I live in one of the legal states. It's all good. You don't need to call the DEA on me. Relax. But my concern with Barack Obama had actually, because I didn't think he was a terrible president. I actually thought he was mediocre. Did some good things. Honestly, as much as I think it's entirely too expensive, and if we're gonna go ahead and have a government health care, why are you calling it insurance? Oh, hi, Tikkun. She's from Manic Expression. Sorry. Um, the Obamacare didn't work because it's too expensive for what it's offering.
Well, what it does is it's just an expansion of entitlements, like the expanded Medicare for a lot of people, and it's. I mean, I look at it very similar to the the consolidated debt obligations and
Yes.
stuff for the housing crisis, where you're pairing all these shit subprime loans and then you pair them with good ones to make it seem more appealing. That's exactly what's happening with these healthcare rates, where you have people who are already have these pre-existing conditions and are unhealthy or old, where the insurance company doesn't really want to cover them unless you pair them with young people who don't cost much to cover because they're healthy, and there's not enough people to outweigh the unhealthy people, so it drives up premiums for everyone.
Well, my concern was I don't know because I've never been there, but I've heard nothing but really good things about the UK's healthcare system. And isn't it, if you're you even if you're a citizen of the UK, it's free healthcare. It's just
I've heard
paid
it's
in
really rationed.
rationed healthcare.
Well, that's the thing. When you have a fixed supply and the demand is ever growing, you're going to have to ration. So you have long wait lists and whatnot. That's the whole thing with the death panel that people were saying is basically you're going to have boards decide on whether you get health care or not because it's too expensive to provide surgery, or, let's say someone has cancer, they're going to discontinue your treatment because it's going to be too expensive for the government to cover.
Well, then, do you think it would be better to actually go back to smaller and have it be state by state? That way, it's individually. That way, a state that only has, say, a population of 30,000 because it's just sprawled out and empty. They don't need as much, so they're see what I mean? You break it down based upon population and overall health.
Well, I mean, if a community like, let's say Vermont, which there's a lot of socialism and stuff, like if they want to pay for it, then they're free to do that. That's the whole point of having states or localized control is, you live in the community you want. Like, being in California, you have these ballot initiatives every year or two, and it's you let the people decide on what they want in their own state. You shouldn't force it on the entire country as policy.
Yeah, apparently, Tikkun over here, her family got slammed down about healthcare because of the healthcare. It's because here's the thing. Yes, I'm able to go. I'm actually under the poverty line, so I'm able to get free healthcare through Medicaid. I'm actually benefiting from this. And I'm extremely critical of it because honestly, every time I go in there, I'm going, where's the money coming from? I'm so used to having to pay that I can't wrap my brain about this concept of quote unquote free. There's no such thing as free. So who's paying for it? And then, I start to find out and look into the numbers and I'm like, it, I feel guilty that I'm using other, and so I'm back to that not want to go to the hospital because, unless I'm fucking needing it.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of advertisements because, like, when I go to work, I listen to like the radio, and they always have these advertisements of these like religious health cost sharing programs, and those seem like they make a lot more sense. Where it's you kind of help people with the burden of the cost, and then they do the same for you, but it's more voluntary, it seems to me,
Yeah,
as
the
far as.
mandatory and pushed on you.
Yeah, being because I noticed, especially like the last month or two being in California, they had a lot of advertisements for signing up for the Affordable Care Act, and I'm just like, well, if he's gonna repeal it, you're just being a dick by forcing trying to get all these people on it so they can't repeal it. Like but yeah, having like a $700 or $800 fine, it could be more if you don't get healthcare. Just seems kind of authoritarian in a way.
Oh, dude, it was terrible. I avoided getting it at first because I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna go sign up for something that doesn't work. I actually had tried when it first came out and I couldn't do the website thing. And at that point, I was like, you know what? Fuck this. If I can't figure out a fucking website, blah 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 blah. I did in the back of my head understand that, there are now millions of people going to the same website on the same day, and and so it's going
Yeah,
to be bogged down.
traffic overload.
But
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, if they can't bother to figure out the logistics of that basic thing, do it over time, set it up to where last names A through C, are on these days, and last names D through whatever, and just spread it out so people of those demographics fit into, and then you'll have your common names where there are lots of them, are one letter. People ending with the last name of S are all on the same day.
Yeah, I think the whole point of Medicaid would be it's cheaper to have people on very shitty insurance rather than have them just use emergency room resources to
Yeah.
answer your
Well,
question.
I got to be honest. While I don't think this is a solid system, it's definitely a step up from what we used to have. I went to the emergency room for a back problem, and it cost me like $1,200, and I was in the waiting room for about 3 hours, got some pain meds, and was out in 15 minutes, and it cost me 12 grand. Or
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
I don't know.
1,200. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the right answer is because obviously I'm not a doctor or work in the medical industry. I just from an economic basis, it just seems like it's such a quagmire to be comparing the United States to, like, let's say Canada or Britain or all these Nordic countries where they have a fraction of the population that we do.
Yeah,
'Cause,
well,
like,
but here's the thing. I have, and this is for me. I understand the concept of business and the concept of making money, but the conversation of, like, how much is your leg worth? How much is your arm worth? How much is your life worth? That becomes that's never a pleasant conversation. That's never something anybody should ever want to do, and that should make, doctors kind of understand because here's the thing: if you save somebody's life, they're probably going to pay you.
yeah,
you
I
know
mean,
turning somebody down
yeah,
because they can't pay. I'm not saying that you don't charge. I'm saying that you don't say, "Oh, I'm not going to save your life because you're poor and homeless and you're worthless."
I think that's against the Hippocratic oath to refuse medical service to someone in need, being a doctor.
They did it a lot in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I can't really speak to that. I'm not sure as far as my opinion on that. But yeah, I mean, as far as the healthcare costs, a lot of it is, you're given a blank check and they can write whatever they want because insurance will cover it.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, I don't think this current system works. It's not. I personally think it's better because, like I said, I wasn't able to go to the doctor without having a massive concern of how much it was going to cost me. I didn't even know how the cost worked. But the current system doesn't really work either because, well, to give you an example, if I had insurance, real insurance, before the Obamacare took over, if I went and saw a psychiatrist or something, I could set the dates I wanted to see him. I could, have a schedule that I wanted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now that I'm on this particular system, I would have to. I'm just going to go ahead and use my personal experience. I have to wait like every 2 weeks before I'm able to see anybody and talk about anything. And they don't really give a shit about what I want. They have to go by a specific mandated government approved order of things. So, for example,
Yeah,
prescription meds, like if I need something, I have to go through this list of meds, even if they think they know what to give me. I have to go through these because the government says I have to try this first and this first and this first before I get to the thing because of reasons, which are
yeah,
usually good, but it's bullshit.
yeah, the whole yeah, it's just a quagmire, the whole health industry, because it is expensive and you got to look at it from the doctor's perspective. They spent like what half their life becoming a doctor, from the age of 18 to the age of like when they complete their residency in their early 30s, and they're in massive debt. Like they still got to get paid at a point, and it's just, yeah, it's a tough thing to really quantify over the population being around 380, 400 million people in the United States.
Well, I think if you ended up asking doctors that if, how much would you charge to before they had the way things worked, where they would get millions of dollars if you were like a plastic surgeon who only dealt with high clientele. If you were, capped, do you think
Well,
healthcare should be capped?
I mean, anytime you put a price cap, you have people leave the market. As far as it's just not always a great idea to put a price cap.
Yeah, but
But
what but really what doctor gets into the job outside of a plastic surgeon for
oh,
the
I was gonna
money?
say that a lot of people, but I was
Oh,
gonna say a big issue I see with it is you have a medical thing where you can't have doctors just be like working out of their home taking cash to like help people because they have all these laws against malpractice, or you have all
and
this red tape.
conditions and shit like that too, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you have like malpractice suits and torts and all these different things to where you can't have someone with a practice be like, okay, yeah, there'll be yeah, they just deal with cash. No, they got to deal through insurance, all this different bureaucracy, all this paperwork. So I mean, that's part of the issue is there's just like when you think about it, 100 years ago, you had a doctor who was certified or whatever. You go in and be like, yeah, I'll give you $50 cash.
Let's go out to my barn where I have my handsaw.
Yeah, you could probably do, yeah, bartering or trade and all this different things. I watch too many Alaska shows now on the History Channel, but yeah, I mean there would be other ways around it, but there's just too much system there to where you can't really operate outside of that system.
I just cannot believe that we can't figure out some happy compromise that doesn't screw out people that have either made mistakes, that got them homeless and with that, but and now are in a health problem. Basically by saying, by going back to the old system to where that would turn, that there were people that were turned away. I've been turned away because I was unemployed, and just they were like, if you can't pay and you don't have insurance, we're you're not dying, so we're not going to treat you. You know, I'm sure dying people actually probably got seen and then billed.
Yeah, I don't think there's any like clear correct answer as far as being fair to everybody. Because I mean, with the medical thing, there's all these special interests in addition to each individual's special interest. Like, you're using Medicaid. I'm on my parents' insurance, so I wouldn't really want them to change it from 26 to, oh, you're on your fucking own now. So it's you know
Yeah.
it's convenient for me, but like 20 years from now when I have to pay my own insurance shit, it's gonna be really inconvenient.
Tikkun suggested that U.S. hospitals should do what Sweden does. Apparently, they do have like a flat tax that they just take out of how much you made that year. Is that how it
Uh,
works?
Sweden. I'm not too sure because I know Sweden has. I had a friend from Sweden and he's telling me how great their system is, and it's just everyone pays a lot, but you get a lot out of it. It's hard to model a system on that with, like I said, having a
Yeah,
population
exactly. It did
10,
different.
10, 12 times the amount of Sweden.
Well, yeah, but that gets back to where I was saying, have it be state government as opposed to a federal thing, and that way each state deals with what their needs are. So the federal government isn't just
Yeah.
spreading it evenly because they think that's the easiest way to do it. It becomes each individual state's responsibility to deal with the health of their individual states, and some states will be more lax than others because, hey, welcome to Nebraska. There's between
Yeah.
here and 12 people. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I think there's just too much built-in red tape as far as being able to localize it now. Because like in
Uh,
California, there's I don't know how many illegal immigrants, but apparently there's over 1 million in just LA County. Like, just from the standpoint of our governor or uh, assistant governor sent a letter asking if they could extend the Affordable Care Act to illegal immigrants. It's like, well,
why?
if it was by this, well, because they're so compassionate, of course.
But okay. See, that here's the thing. If we're going to bother to have borders, I mean, if we're going to bother, you have to have a reason to not want to cross the border.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing with like the libertarian where they libertarians always say open borders are good because open borders only work if you have a libertarian society where you don't have a welfare state. If you incentivize if you incentivize people getting something for nothing, you're going to have people try to get something for nothing.
Well, and it also has to do with culture too, because like I could see Canada and the US getting rid of their border and become, that could work because our cultures are pretty similar. We're both Western cultures, mostly English speaking. It's very similar, and it could probably not be too much of an impact. However, if that were to happen with Mexico, they have a completely different culture, completely different set of standards, and because of the way that Mexico has basically progressed, there are a lot of people with varying degrees of civility.
Well, I mean that's why we have the electoral college, thank God, because California is a completely different culture than yeah,
Then
Nebraska.
Texas,
Yeah, Texas are a very individual kind of concept because I mean, being in California, it's just literally everybody just virtue signals all the time, and they're like, "Oh, what about this?" And it's like the most some of the most fake people I've ever met are the people who are the most compassionate liberals. It's it's all about what makes them sleep better at night.
well,
So
yeah,
they
here's the thing. It goes to I think it's a mentality difference. Like, for example, I'm very compassionate because I help the individuals I run into when they need it. They want to help everybody all at once, all at the same time, with
with other
one
people's
brush.
money. With other people's money. It's the whole thing where you go to dinner with someone, oh, order whatever you want off the menu. You're not paying for it. They're gonna get an appetizer, they're gonna get the filet mignon, they're gonna get a dessert, and the most expensive bottle of wine. When they don't have to pay for it, it's much easier to say, oh yeah, let's give everybody everything.
As opposed to what would have been a compromise, which is we have a soup kitchen in back.
Yeah, it's
And we
all
make
of you get
fucking
the
bomb
leftover.
soup here, bitch.
Yeah, it's a tough concept. I look at a lot of different things from the way I'm able to rationalize and kind of think of examples is I was in a fraternity in college, just so as far as everyone pays dues and pays into the budget and what is this? States, own country, and short history. Yeah, you have everyone paying in, but if you have people who are guests that don't pay dues, just come to the parties, what's the incentive to be paying dues if people would just come to the parties anyways?
Yeah.
The whole free rider thing. It's like, people get pissed off when they see people who didn't, pledge, pay dues and whatnot at the parties because it's like, why did I go through all that shit if people are
When
just
I
gonna
could have
walk
just
through the
walked
door?
in the door for fucking nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty much why a lot of people are against the whole illegal immigrant thing. It's
yeah,
we pay taxes and they don't, and I mean, it's a bureaucratic nightmare, but honestly, if you're clean, safe to come through the country legally, you can do it.
yeah. That's the whole thing. Yeah, that's how I compare like pledging a fraternity. It's like you have to put in time, and you kind of start at the bottom. You have to go through shit, but eventually you get rewarded at the end. But why would you go through that shit when someone just walks through the door? It's
And you'll find that people who do go through that bureaucratic process and become nationalized citizens, they appreciate their country more, and they
yeah,
do not like illegals coming in and just, it's like, why don't they get to, it's like somebody cutting in line.
yeah. That's exactly, yeah. That's why I always think that, yeah, the fraternity example just works so well in my mind. It's just you have people put in 6 months to become a member and enjoy all the benefits of becoming a member, but if someone's able to not do that process and enjoy all the benefits without even having to pay for it, and I mean it's purely anecdotal, but I've noticed like the people who aren't in the fraternity are they don't have that moral hazard, so they tend to be the ones blacking out or like
Breaking shit.
breaking shit, stealing shit, and raping women. Like that's kind of the shit that happens. And you're like, well, if there's no you can't really punish them because they're not a part of the group. So yeah, it's like the whole thing with the legals. If like Trump's right on some of this stuff where there are illegals committing crimes and they're not punished the same way U.S. citizens are. So it's like why are they here if we can't make make tax dollars or be able to punish them the same as U.S. citizens? Why do they get special privileges when they
When
frankly didn't pay into the system?
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest with you, why are we helping out? Why are we importing, you know, people who can't get in here legally when we already have plenty of Americans who don't have homes? Let's take care of those first, and then we can work on helping out our neighbors and shit. Because we've got more problems at home than we can handle, and we keep wanting to take on the problems of the world. And
Yeah,
it gets us nowhere. We end up doing more abroad, and nothing here. And as things start breaking down here, and as they do the bare minimum, looking, going, oh, we gotta stop Syria and get, stop, get, make sure Russia doesn't do any more hacking and no. It's like, dude, fucking roads are falling apart. Fucking, we're trillions of dollars in debt.
yeah, that's the issue I have with like the whole big government liberalism, or even the Republican establishment who like big government. It's they're spending other people's money at the end of the day. You're gonna spend your own money better than you spend other people's money. It's just if someone gives you $10,000 that you didn't put blood, sweat, and tears working your ass off for, you're gonna if you win the lottery, you're going to spend that money a lot easier than if you had to, work 40 hours a week for 20 years to earn that same amount of money. It's just the whole concept of people spending other people's money. And yeah, it's just because my dad has a lot of experience with like people in government departments, and they always just, there's so much waste. Like they just want more budget year to year, so they just waste money so they don't lose their budget, and they always want to grow and hire more people. And
It's the whole planning for the future kind of mentality.
it's it's not even that, they just don't want their budget cut or their job security. It's like if they're incentivized to have something to do, which is not doing their, if they don't do their job, then there's always something to do. There's a reason to have them there. So
Yeah.
by incentive systems, government agencies aren't going to solve problems because they're inclined to want to
Busy
keep their
work.
job. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes back to that whole adage, oh, you're not busy, well, look like you're busy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that there's nothing to do. I need you to pretend that there's something to do so that I'm not paying you to stand around.
Yeah. It really is ridiculous because yeah, you have government agencies buying cars um on taxpayer dime, because if they don't spend the money on the cars, then they have to keep their old shitty ones. So they'll literally have cars sitting in the parking lot unused that were paid for by tax dollars, but they have to have them because the way their budget works.
Yeah, I also think that one of the reasons that I would like to focus more on what's going on more practically. Let's call it practical. Is we can't really with what would have happened with Hillary would have been a further push of the this agenda for making pronouns and this thing that doesn't really matter yet. We're putting money into it, and I get the idea if you want to move social stuff forward and you want to, have everybody get along and all that fun shit, but you have to do it one step at a time. And their biggest thing is they want to do sweeping changes as opposed to tiny steps.
Like I don't think it gets compared much, but like yeah, look at the war on drugs, like a big sweeping program, or
Didn't
the
work.
war on poverty doesn't work.
The
Like these
prohibition didn't work.
like none of these programs really ever work. So it's just really counterintuitive to think, oh, it didn't work last time. It's just because we didn't
What's
have
the
the right
definition of
people.
insanity?
doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Exactly. And yeah, let's be perfectly honest with you. The war on terror, that as much as I actually, that's a little closer to actually being something, it's still a war on an idea. You know,
Yeah, it's kind of Machiavellian. Like, have you ever read Machiavelli the Prince? It's just
I'm an idiot. I'm not that
oh no,
culturally defined.
I did the audio book at work once because I just but it's basically all about ascending to power and then how to like basically control or to get rid of your opposition. The only way to really subdue terrorism would be to just annihilate everything, which isn't practical. That's calling for a genocide, and then the other way is to give them autonomy, um, as far as letting them self govern,
Which is
which
just as risky and unpredictable because they may just go back to the same old shit.
well, I mean, yeah, if you give them regional autonomy and kind of leave them alone, then terrorism isn't as much of an issue because it's more localized. But when you have the U.S. intervening and everything, the enemy isn't, let's say Bashir al-Assad or Russia. It's the United States is now the enemy because they're getting involved.
Yeah, and then we want to make don't get me wrong, our ideals are not necessarily a bad thing. We want to go in there and help everybody bring civilization to the uncivilized, but at the same time, what you're doing from their perspective is you're pushing your culture and your way of thinking onto a group of people who have had their own way of thinking, right or wrong as it may be, or how you think it is. It's just that's the way they've grown up.
Yeah.
And people resist change. That is universal.
Yeah, it's the I mean, people get all up in arms when it's like, oh, they're pushing Sharia into the West. They're trying to impose Sharia in our communities. It's like, what do you think trying to do that to them is? It's the same exact thing.
And also, you have to ask yourself, why are they able to do it? Why are they actually a little more effective at it than we are? Because we've been trying to fucking fix that part of the nation, that part of the country for decades, and have gotten nowhere. And granted, we've also been funding the fight, so maybe we haven't actually been trying to fix it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
War is awfully profitable for us.
It's the whole military industrial complex and all that shit, and it's such a mess when you get in the weeds with it, where it's just yeah, if you just gave them autonomy and let them, I mean, the whole thing is with the Syrian refugee thing, where it's like it's a humanitarian crisis and people need to be helped, but at the same time, fix your own country. Like if we just keep taking people from broken civilizations, it's not like we're fixing people when they come here. Some people are, but you're bringing broken people. They're still going to be broken. They're going to bring their broken, effed up ideologies into your country.
And
It's
they're going to try to spread it because ultimately that particular region's main ideology is to spread Islam across the world.
Yeah, like I mean, there's like a thing when I was in college for like the fraternities with recruitment. They're like trying to put like recruitment caps. They're like some were like, oh, we're not getting enough guys. Like you guys are taking all the guys. It's like maybe you guys should figure out how to suck less and let people keep doing what they're doing. Like you got to fix your own before you fix other people. It's the whole if you want to change the world, you got to change yourself.
And
Like
we've completely bailed on that over the last, I'd say, ever since technology became a massive trend to move forward. And I'm not saying it's been a bad thing because it has brought a lot of benefit. But the other thing is, I don't think we were ready for this kind of communication. There's a lot because if you think about when the internet first came around, and the people that were on the internet 20 years ago are generally the same. You have your trolls, you have your perverts, you have your people looking for porn, you have your people who are talking politics. The society was never really all that different than it is today. The difference is much more people. And the older generation of internet users got their trolling out and got used to it. And if they're still using the internet on a regular basis, are more sophisticated people. However, the new people, the young people, and a lot of the SJWs that people are constantly complaining about, they're dealing with all the trolls all at once.
oh god, yeah.
Figuring out for themselves if they want to be a troll or not.
Yeah, it's the whole trolling thing is I think part of it is just it is fun to provoke people and get them into out of their comfort zone. So I mean I get the whole trolling thing.
Oh,
I think
I
some of it crosses the line a lot of times. Like I mean the easy example of the whole Milo controversy with what's her name, Leslie Jones. Like
yeah.
Milo really wasn't doing much. It was just his troll followers.
Yeah,
It
and
was
and
really
unfortunately,
hilarious to watch, but there were some where I'm like, oh geez.
oh yeah, it was not fun to read, and I wouldn't have wanted to go through that if I were Leslie. But how that was handled was completely wrong. One, you don't punish the person who has the opinion you don't like for the reactions his followers do to you. You punish the followers specifically. You report all those fucking people individually. But she didn't do that. Instead, she made a fucking stink about it and, got a bunch of publicity for herself and ultimately made the problem worse.
I think that lends itself to people project their values onto other people. So, I mean, you have conservatives who think at a much more individual basis, thinking, oh, it should be the individual rather than the collective. And then you have people who are liberal think much more collectively that think, oh, it's the ringleader because it's all a group think. It's like I'm sure Milo didn't get the minutes from 4chan on whether they're going to attack Leslie Jones or not. Like all this, like the whole these white male
Oh, come
conspiracy.
on. I could totally see Milo going, all right, guys, all right. What I now want you to do is I want you to go get her. I want you to go hit her and with critical strike attacks.
That's more
And
of a
then I'm
Mike
gonna suck and then I'm
Cernovich
gonna
thing.
suck a dick really quick, and then I want you to hit her with more cunts, and I want you to call her a fucking nigger a bunch of times over and over and over again.
That's Mike Cernovich doing his live stream talking strategy for how they're gonna troll anti-Trump people.
Which is sad because that totally happened.
Yeah, his Periscope strategy meetings.
Oh, yeah, no. The Tikun actually brought up a good point. There, as much as we all complain about trolling, and there's a lot of, trolling can be a big pain in the ass. It really can. I've been trolled and I've never liked it, but it should exist. There needs that for a lot of people. Trolling is simply they got nothing else better to do. Their life, at least that's when I did it. When I was trolling, I didn't really have anything better to do on the day. I wasn't particularly in a good mood, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna get some self amusement by fucking with people."
Yeah, live for the likes.
Yeah, just fuck it. Why not? And if you're taking me seriously, you're doing it wrong. And eventually I grew out of it. Most people
Yeah.
grow out of it. The problem is right now it used to be a small demographic of people trolling, like I said in the early days, but now we've got so many people and social media is so constant in people's lives that everybody's bad day becomes international.
Well, that's the thing too, is like people going on the internet for comfort are gonna also get the people who are just like, well, fuck you, you're fat. Like
Yeah.
like the thing is, if there's that incentive there for people to troll, then they're gonna troll.
Yeah, and for some people, as Tikkun mentioned, trolling is venting for them. But there are people who do it simply because they get a kick out of pissing people off. There are those people, and as much as I don't like it, and I think they're fucking cunts, they're not hurting anyone physically. If you're
Yeah,
people take so much stock into their feelings, and I don't like having my feelings hurt, but ultimately when it happens, I remind myself my feelings don't really matter.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to is moderation. That's the big issue with society. Like I'm not a religious person, but I see the value in religion where they teach self moderation, self control. A lot of the
Unfortunately, they didn't have any moderation with their preaching of moderation.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing where you see a lot of the issues in society, such as like drug use or people being overweight and all these different things. A lot of it is just lack of self control. It's not. And then they try to attribute it to diseases or disorders, trying to put the blame on other people. When you have a society where no one takes responsibility, you get 20 million or 20 trillion in debt, because at the end of the day, there's no moderation in spending. There's no voice in the head just saying, oh, maybe we shouldn't spend billions of dollars on this worthless bullshit.
Yeah, well, admitting you're wrong and learning from one's mistakes, it's not really trending right now.
Yeah, personal responsibility is not really something people like to hear all the
Well, it
time.
and in defense, because here's the thing: if you think about it as a rational way, that forgiveness is not something any Americans particularly good at. Fucking up either will ride you hard comically or will send you to jail, and that shit'll follow you for the rest of your life. It's one of those things that admitting you're wrong often follows you around, even if you don't want it to, even if you admit that you're wrong. You know what I mean?
I only imagine like people running for Congress in like 30 years. It's like, well, you were trolling this person with all the like, because your internet history doesn't go away. So it's kind of funny to think like 30 years from now, all these people with these long internet rap sheets, and they've grown out of it, obviously, but that will come back to haunt people.
Yeah, well, luckily I have very little interest in politics. At best, I would like to do some radio. So I'm trying that out. Trying that out for the start.
Yeah, that's I've been doing the whole cubicle office thing, and yeah, radio sounds like a much more appealing type of job. Just talking for a living.
Hey, yeah, ideas have good ideas have started from worse places.
It's more.
Let's see what here. I'm catching up with
Yeah, I'm
with
trying to
what
read
the
it too.
she's been very invested in the conversation. I appreciate the hanging out with us, Tika, and I actually didn't expect it. She's one of the more active people on the website I promote, which is Manic Expression. Similar to mine, it's a free posting site kind of thing. But anyway, for me, when it gets around to this whole freedom of speech, and because the big argument is you have the freedom to say what you want, but I have the freedom to be offended, and I go, yeah, absolutely, but what you're talking about is dictating words that can't be said.
Yeah,
Which
it's
is not the same as wanting to criticize me for using a word you didn't like. You're more than welcome to criticize me, and you're more than welcome to use ugly words right back at me. If I call you a faggot, call me a faggot right back.
yeah, it's the whole lowest common denominator thing, and people don't want to play by that because I saw a great meme where it's being right wing and libertarian, and then hearing a communist, you become authoritarian automatically. It's like that's kind of how everybody is. It's live and let live until you hear something you strongly disagree with.
Yep, and there are a lot of times where I'll listen to somebody and go, God, I just would really like to fucking shut him up. And
That's how I feel when I watch Bill Maher.
and unfortunately, it's how I feel when I watch Bill O'Reilly.
Oh God, that guy. Yeah, I'm not.
I don't disagree even with much of some. I mean, I disagree with a lot of what he says, but there are a lot of times that I'll go, "Oh, you got some good points." If he weren't such an arrogant dick to his interviewer, to who he was interviewing, I would like him a whole lot more.
Yeah, he's just a condescending cunt. He's just that's Bill O'Reilly.
He is just an unpleasant human being. I have no idea how he still has a fucking show.
Because people like him. I mean, did you see his controversy last week where I don't remember what he's saying. He's basically saying like people are trying to get rid of the white establishment. It totally got taken out of context because like he was just playing devil's advocate and kind of taking their premise and just saying how stupid of a premise it is. Like people trying to get rid of the quote unquote white establishment patriarchy, and it's like, well, at the same time, it's like, who are you to say that people should just be disenfranchised because they're a white male? Like it's this whole eye for an eye social justice.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that because I was Baring did that video recently. I think it was a few days ago on that toxic whiteness thing that feminists were um, everyday feminists put out. It's an online course to help white people help end racism. And I'm just gonna read the title because the fucking title is funny. The title is Healing from Toxic Whiteness, and the first sentence of this is, if there was ever a time in recent history for white people to take action to end racism, this is it. Do they not understand how racist it is to say something is toxic because of skin color?
Well, I mean, it's the whole thing where they just group people on their color of their skin rather than they don't even group it based on ethnicity or nationality. It's, every white person's the same. It's like Irish Catholic people are much different than, Protestant English or, German people, French people, Italian people, Polish people. Everyone's different just on that basis. So to group every single person, it's kind of ridiculous. It's the whole broad brush. It's just oversimplification all the time.
But the worst of it is they don't, they'll be quick to be like, if you were to say, oh, there's a black guy, he's African American, you white fucker, you know.
Yeah, I wrote a blog thing about it a while ago where it's just like all this hyphenated identities, all this hyphenated American. It literally just belittles the whole American identity to where you're getting rid of the common thread, the common identity of being an American with, holding African American or Mexican American above being an American, where it's just, the discourse just evolves into this level of just there's no connection anymore.
Yeah, well, and there are a lot of people who don't even like the terms that the white people have applied for them, like Native Americans. A lot of them hate that fucking term. They would much rather be referred to as the tribe that they represent.
Yeah, it's the overgeneralization, like, yeah,
Well, do you
Cheyenne,
would
Shoshone. Yeah, it's the same thing where you're saying, like, instead of being Irish, you're just saying European, like,
or white?
yeah, you're being you're being grouped in with these people that you really have nothing in common with besides the complexion of your skin and the level of melanin in your skin.
Or in just some occasions where you're from, because it's funny, there are white people that can be classified as African American because they were from Africa.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, everyone does think in terms of race, and yeah, the way I was brought up, it was, be colorblind. That was the politically correct thing in the 90s,
And
be
then now it's a bad
colorblind.
thing.
Yeah,
And now that means you're more racist.
yeah, that's the most racist thing you can say. Well, of course you should see color. It's like, well, then how are you not making everybody think on terms of race? And then if everybody has in-group biases, then everyone's going to be racist. So it's them trying to contextualize this argument in a way that fits their narrative.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, when people say, I treat everybody the same, and they go, well, that's patriarchy, you racist fuck. What they're forgetting is that from my way of thinking, and this is my personal way of thinking, I treat everybody as though I would, in the same scope. I'm not going to say, oh, you can't do this because you're short unless it's get something off the top of the shelf,
Yeah,
even then you could do it. You could get a fucking ladder.
Yeah, I think it's funny when they just think, oh, you have these in-group biases. There's a lot of white people that I just fucking don't like because I just don't like them. Like they act like I'm just gonna like people automatically because they're white. That's not true. I'm not gonna lie. I've worked with people of all kinds of like different ethnicities, and I get along with a lot of the other people because they're more down to earth.
And white women, typically for me, were shit.
Oh yeah, they're just self-centered. They got their white privilege, their white female privilege.
Yeah, maybe I'm just meeting the wrong fucking white women. I need to go hang out at homeless shelters. Maybe there's real white women.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is everybody's different. Everyone has their own story. It's like to say every black person's dealt with racism. Like I'm sure they have because I've seen it where you'll have a white person told no. Like I was doing like event staff for security, and like I was working with a African American fellow, and he was saying you can't go here, like turn in or let people out at a certain point, and they spouted the N word at him. I'm like that's just uncalled for. Why would you why would you call him the N word? Like there's just no reason to do it. So I mean I do see where they would come from on that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I hate the N word. Because here's
Oh
the
yeah,
thing, for
everyone knows what you're saying. I
well,
just
I'm when Louis C.K. described the concept of the N word in relation to nigger, I'm just going, dude, that is exactly the truth. If you're going to bother talking about a word, don't be afraid of the fucking word.
I just don't like to say it.
No, I don't like to say it either, but if we're gonna fucking talk about it, I'm going to have to say it because now you're putting it in my fucking head.
Yeah, I just well, I mean, there's
No, I
also
get
the
what you
thing
mean.
where
I'm just giving you shit at this point.
I don't want someone taking it out of context being like he said that word, and I'm like, what? Come
Oh,
on, man.
what? You don't want to have some like nigger YouTube poop of you?
Everything comes back to haunt you eventually.
That's true.
Don't want to close any doors here.
No, that's true. Don't luckily only people know you as PC clown, so unless you're going around there, that's how you're flaunting your name.
I've already doxed myself being on the left coast, though. They can pinpoint that. I'm not too careful. It's just
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
want to
I'm
have.
I'm at the point where I honestly don't care because here's the thing, if you get docs, that actually gets you, and it for some reason gets you more views.
Except when you only have 6 subscribers.
That's true. Well, I mean, well, shit, you can only get more views.
Yeah, there's only one direction to go.
Hey, I'm trying to promote your shit over there on Minds. Come on.
Oh, I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate that. Yeah,
You got a new project
yes.
coming out anyway?
Um, yeah, I just kind of end up doing it before bed when I make a video. It's just like, well, I can't fucking sleep. I'll just make something. It won't. I just, yeah, I suck at editing, which is one of those big skills I'll eventually have to learn. But yeah, I don't know. It's one thing to like talk to someone. Like, it's one thing to just speak into the computer screen.
Yeah. No, and well, there's also the fact that when you're talking to yourself, you sound different, and it gets a little awkward. Like if there's somebody in the house, I get really, really uptight about recording.
Yeah, I have too many people in my house usually where it's just, yeah, I try to be quiet and not make too much noise because they'll be like, what, who the fuck are you talking to?
Well, I got like way more. I got 53 subscribers. So you want to plug your new your new thing? You're more than welcome to.
Oh, yeah, I don't really have anything right now, but I'll
Ah,
work
you
on it.
lazy bastard. I hope you get some like insomnia.
I need to start doing the like rebuttal videos. It's just, yeah, I'm guessing it's a lot of work to like pull a feminist YouTuber's video and then edit everything, like do different,
Yeah,
cut it up,
it's
and
actually not that hard, especially if you're only going to be doing an image. Do you know how to get videos off of YouTube?
yeah,
Yeah, it's one of those things that the best way to do it is, and I think Bloodwing had actually described it this way as well, is to basically watch the video once, kind of get familiar with it, then watch it a second time while you're taking notes, if you're not taking notes the first time anyway, and basically kind of plan it out, and then figure out just a rough time frame what you want. It's good to go about 7 minutes. Any longer, then editing becomes tedious.
yeah. That's what I've noticed with my videos is once I get past that like 6 or 7 minutes, it just starts. Uh, it gets boring to listen to because it's just like get to the just end the video or get to the point already. You don't need to ramble on for an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's one of those things you'll start to on script. You'll be like, "Oh man, I can't cut that. That's needed." But then you'll start to listen to yourself and go, "Ah, fuck that. Who cares?"
Yeah, that's
was totally unnecessary.
yeah, I totally yeah. I noticed that with my like last video where I was just talking about fake news and like skepticism, and then I started talking about how global warming is just you know there's no nuance to it ever, and then I'm just like, well, this is just kind of going on too long. I should have just got to the point. But yeah, that's the thing is just yeah, with the editing, it's kind of more just getting experience.
Well, doing a response video will give you easy experience because it's not that complicated. It's mostly the same technique over and over again. It's the simple cut and back to you, cut and back to you, and you know. But
Yeah.
I definitely recommend playing around with it while you can. Do something different every time with them. Are you a fan of Dr. Randomer Cam?
No, I've never heard of them.
I highly recommend him. Go look him up. He's one of Honey Badger Radio's guys.
What is it?
Um Dr. Randomer Cam. He's got about 16,000 subs. Funny fucking dude. He's a stand-up comedian. Funny fucking dude. Low quality though, but funny.
Yeah, I'll try watching some of it. He's up to 43,000. It looks like.
Oh shit, I was way off. Sorry about that, Mike.
You were just following him before he was cool.
No, I was following him when he was mediocre cool. He did a guest video on one of Sargon's channels, and I think it was Sargon's main channel, and yeah, that's how I found him.
Do you ever think it's kind of funny how most of these anti-social justice slash skeptic people are always people with accents from like England or Australia? I always think that's kind of funny.
Well, I think I think the fact that a lot of the famous ones are from it is because of the fact that since I think the U.S. is the largest viewership on YouTube. They sound different.
Yeah, that's what I always thought. I think they just sound more appealing to the ear, less
And
grating.
let's be honest, dumb Americans, smart UK. Come on. Clearly smarter than the rest of us.
You could pull the dumbest person out of England, but they'll still sound better because they just sound eloquent because of their accents.
Well, not all of them. I've heard a couple of limey versions that are like, "What the fuck did he just say?" So yeah, but if you go to London and find your dumbest person in London, he's probably going to make anything sound pretty good.
Yeah, I always think that's kind of interesting. It's yeah, I also noted like with some of the anti-social justice live streams, I always was like, oh, there's like no specific. They always get like specifics wrong, and then like doing live streams, you're like, okay, I can see that because you're just going on the fly all the time. So yeah, it's like a much different thing to like actually make YouTube videos to be like critical of other people.
Oh, and they're both challenging things. Don't get me wrong. I was terrified of doing this, and because first of all, I didn't have an audience to listen to me, so it was kind of weird to be sitting and talking to myself, pretending there were people that are there. Although I do have practice doing that. Um, the other thing was it was the whole I'm so used to being able to edit out my mistakes in post, and now I'm not going to be able to do that. If I fuck up and say stupid shit, now it's out there for the whole world to hear, and if I don't say anything, then it's nobody's going to watch because it's silence for an hour and a half.
Yeah, when I was doing a live stream, I just kind of got picked up into one like last week with like the World from Ferg and those type of
Yep.
guys. There was just too many people in the live stream. It was hard to like know when to jump in because it was just like everyone was trying to jump in. And it's just like I think the magic number is like 3, 4 at most. Once you get over that, it's just chaos.
Not unless you're in the same room. If you can probably get away with a 5-person one if they're all in the same room doing the stream, kind of like a drunken peasants. Because
Yeah.
I think they're in the same room. But the yeah, doing 5 people at random, especially if they're not familiar with each other, not familiar with how their speaking patterns are, you don't know when certain people are actually done talking, so you don't want to just suddenly interrupt them like I've done to you a couple of times.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, no, I definitely noticed that a lot of the time where it's yeah, especially with like 5 or 6 people, it's just like someone will pose a question or pose like something like ask for thoughts, and it's like you start talking and then someone else is starting talking at the same time. It's like, oh no, go ahead. And that's like probably 10% of those live streams is just people apologizing for cutting in.
Or how about the ask a question and nobody answers because they just got done interrupting each other and are all now really super polite, not wanting, are a little timid, not wanting to get in there.
Yeah, that was the hard thing. And then also, yeah, so sometimes those the chats like that one even wasn't that big of a chat, but you're just like self-conscious of, oh, the chat hates me right now or whatnot. It's yeah, that's another externality that's not there when you're just making a video and uploading it.
Yeah, so yeah, the video process is a bit of a challenge in terms of editing, but it's pretty easy to get it down. I won't say it's something you will like. I think people who like editing are a very special breed of people because everybody I've ever talked to about editing hates it, and I absolutely love it. Editing to me is one of the most fun. I hate recording, I hate writing. Editing, I'm going, yes. But it's also terrible for me because I'm a perfectionist. So if there's one frame that's off, I will go find it.
Yeah, no, I noticed with your videos, yeah, you do a lot of animation and stuff, and it's as I couldn't do that. It's just I'm too lazy,
Well, if you're
frankly.
looking for doing stuff like what Brown Bear does, that's not that complicated. Brown Bear, Irate Bear. I'm used to talking to him on Mines.
Oh,
If that's something you want to get into, that's not a complicated thing. You could probably even do that with a Windows Movie Maker if you don't have if you don't have a good editing software.
yeah, I just hit that point where I'm just like, I just want to get done. And I don't know. I need to redo my stuff, but I noticed with I could easily do like Photoshop stuff because I noticed with my videos especially is just like, it's boring to just hear someone talk, and it definitely adds to the video. Like in yours where you have the animation, like I'm pretty decent at photoshopping memes real quick, so I can just keep throwing Photoshop up there. That's what
Exactly.
I need to
Although
do.
I will let you know, the more images you run through, the more tedious editing becomes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just use the iMac, the i video or whatever it's called, iMovie, and so I just put the video up or the image there and just throw it on there.
That if she is telling me I'm doing, I end up cutting in my video a lot, and that is partially true because I have a habit of I can't read lines and act like if I had a teleprompter, I couldn't read the lines out and say them and have it sound naturally. It wouldn't work that way. My brain doesn't work that way. When I'm reading and talking, my mouth and brain don't communicate the right way. So basically, I have to memorize my lines either one sentence at a time or a handful of sentences at a time, and then wing it. I'll go, okay, I got the rough gist of this paragraph. I'll just fucking go at it.
Yeah, with me, I usually just like to have bullet points, and I kind of go improv because it's easier for me. Because yeah, if I'm just reading off a script, I become totally monotone, and yeah, I can't read either.
Yeah, well, the reading aloud part, man, that's some people can do that really well. For me, I just my and when I make a mistake, I have to restart. It's not like I can just continue on. For some reason, I need to go back to the fucking beginning of the sentence because fuck them.
Yeah, the one thing I notice with myself is sometimes when I do the improvisation of speech, it's just I rely too much on those crutch words like or like or or different things like that. So yeah, it's definitely easier to get away from those when you have something that's scripted.
Oh yeah. I way prefer a script because it just, for the most part, I don't stick to my scripts verbatim. I'm not gonna sit there and, read, get all hung up on the same words, I can free flow through it. So essentially they are bullet points. They're just way more specific bullet points. The problem for me though is I get hung up on the way my writing and the way I talk don't match.
Yeah, I've noticed with myself, it's just like it's kind of somewhat related but unrelated. It's just like when I'm drunk, I have a totally different vocabulary that I use. It's just not on purpose. It's just I. I don't know if it's just like the anxiety of speech goes, and I just think more clearly. I kind of
No,
have
I
the
get it. I get it.
I have the effect of like Adderall to a someone with ADHD has when I drink. It just slows down the thoughts, and I'm able to speak better, I guess, which makes no
That
sense, but it
Well,
does.
that's what happens when I smoke weed. Otherwise, my brain moves too fast, and I'll change topics in the middle of a sentence. I'll be halfway through a sentence, and then it'll remind me. It'll just trigger some thought that I'll, for some reason, find way more important than the previous thought, and then immediately move right into it, and completely never go back to it. So a lot of my Let's Plays where I'm playing video games have a lot of half thoughts.
Yeah, I have not done the marijuana in my YouTube career, but yeah, I'm sure it'd be like tangent after tangent.
Yeah, well, it keeps me sane for the most part. So it's one of those things. If I could get a green card, I probably would get one. But now I don't have to because it's legal.
I think the funniest thing. This is totally different topic, but like I took a social justice class when I was in college. It was
What?
it
We have
was
classes for that shit?
yeah, it was a program. It was a training program to give sexual assault prevention um, training course. Like basically, I went through a program where I learned how to present to groups of people, being like fraternity guys, and yeah, I'd give presentations to fraternity guys about consent
It,
and different things.
now, do they have to get it in writing? Because I would expect,
What
yeah, I would expect that they would want it in writing. If they need a verbal yes, it's like, well, fuck it. If I got to get this, I'm definitely getting a fucking signature.
you're better off just taping it. That's what I've learned. It's like you gotta have evidence because especially with the schools nowadays where they have these kangaroo courts, it's they'll take your what your account of the story
And
is,
throw it
but
out the fucking.
your story is not weighted as much as the accused, and all they have to do as far as the people at those student centers or the Title IX coordinator, they just have to, it's the 51% burden of truth. So it's like if they have 1% they believe their story more over yours, you're fucked.
And God help you if the fucking media gets hold of it.
Yeah, the trials in the court of public opinion, it's so dumb because like in those courses they teach you that um, sexual assault false reports are such a insignificant statistic to where it's basically it happens sometimes, but it's very very rare, so you should believe them. And it's like I had a friend who was accused, and I saw the girl leave, like, and then like a week later, she accused him because someone was like, "Oh, why do you take advantage of drunk guys?" So she said, "Oh, she was drugged, and there was like multiple guys." I'm like, that's verifiably untrue because I let him use my room, and it was you and him only in that room. And then I saw you two walk out of the house together. He offered to walk you home, and you said you were fine, and you walked perfectly fine. But she's saying, "Oh, she was drugged and whatever," and I'm like, that's not true. Like so there's definitely false accusations.
Yeah. I don't. That's one of those things that I get it. I get why it is the way it is, given how things used to be. So it seems, almost like, what goes around comes around. There
Yeah,
were, especially in certain parts of this country, that it was very common practice to beat the shit out of your wife and rape people, and and not be a big deal. I actually worked for a guy who grew up in the '60s, and that was his like favorite pastime was to drug girls to fuck them.
that's yeah. It's so weird too because like they justify these false accusations where it's like, oh well, it's just yeah, it's just it's basically like a makeup call in sports where it's like, no, you're talking about people's lives here. Like,
Exactly.
are you fucking kidding me?
And that's one of those things. That's why I agree that cases that are of this kind of nature should definitely be handled outside of the media thing, because regardless of guilt and innocence, the dude is fucked. And
Yeah, I
don't get me
was
wrong, so is the woman, or whoever got
yeah.
raped. They have to go through life now being that person that got raped, which cannot be fun. But
Well,
it's not.
yeah.
Doesn't hold a candle to the person who raped.
Well, the issue I see with it, because like going through that program, you're trained in like these step by step, like, oh, listen, believe, whatever, like, but at a point where you're just reinforcing sometimes where they're not sure if they were, it's the whole Lena Dunham thing where she was like, yeah, whatever, and then someone's like, yeah, it sounds like you got raped, and then it just it's like a snowball effect where it's like they because like the human memory is very imperfect. So when you're told enough times that you were taken advantage of, you're gonna believe you were taken advantage of, even if you weren't. So it's totally subjective as far as certain cases that aren't cut and dry like that.
And yeah, and there's a lot of times, and here's my grandfather was working for state patrol, and this was in the 50s, and he had worked a couple of rape cases just because it happened to be on the highway. Um, Everybody was super sympathetic, at least in this particular case. And the reason this was brought up is that there was a rape thing going on in like the 90s, and it ended up being brought up. The point was the rape victim ended up getting extremely hostile to basic questions that, if she were in the right frame of mind, which everybody understands why she's not, but if she were in the right frame of mind, would understand why they're being asked. And they weren't asked in any, brutal way, but they were standard questions that needed to be asked. And the people that go, you have to listen and believe, don't understand how investigations work.
Oh yeah, totally. That's their whole justification of having extrajudicial like Title IX courts is like, oh well, like if they go through the legal means, then they just have to relive the trauma over and over, and it's like, well, it's a major accusation you're making. It's
So,
not
and
to
I'm
be taken
sorry.
lightly. Like, if it sucks, it sucks. But at the same time, you can't just expect someone's life to be ruined because of a perceived misgiving, or there are crazy girls in college who accuse people because they don't want to be caught in because they cheated on their boyfriend or whatnot, so
Or
they make
whatever
up
reason, they ended up getting drunk and did something stupid, and now it's rape.
yeah, that's the whole thing where it's like they there's just that whole gray area in that class where it was like, oh, if you're too drunk to drive, then you shouldn't be having sex. Well, it's like, well, point oh 0.08. I could operate heavy machinery on probably twice that, but I wouldn't. Like, but at the same time, you're gonna say I'm supposed to have a breathalyzer available? Like that just sounds ridiculous.
Well, let me put
And
it
it's
also this way. They go with that analogy. What when we punish the drunk driver, not
oh
the
yeah,
car.
yeah, it's definitely a weird
So
thing.
either you need to work on your analogy or work on how we deal with drunk drivers.
Yeah, it's yeah, because they had a district or assistant DA come in, and we're basically able to ask questions. And I was asking like, or I don't think I was, but it was like basically, how do you know? It's like she's puking on your dick when she's sucking it, she's too drunk, or if
Yeah.
she's puked, she's too drunk. It's like, okay, that's fair,
Yeah.
but the issue is like that's the legal definition, and you have these feminists on campus and these Title IX officers that don't see it that way. They see it as, okay, if there's one shot of alcohol, especially if she's underage, then oh, it's rape, and it's like, well,
Well, if she's under,
that's
never mind. I'm sorry, I forgot 21.
yeah, that's well, yeah, no, I'm
No,
yeah,
no, I get what you mean.
yeah,
For some reason I got it in my head that drinking was
yeah,
18, and I went, no, never mind. I'm an idiot.
yeah, because yeah, like dealing with the fraternity stuff, most girls who were going to the fraternity parties were under 21 because
Yep.
they obviously couldn't go to bars or clubs, so. Yeah, so I mean that's basically every single girl. So it's like basically you're saying by the Title IX definition or your definition, every single girl at that party's off limits, and every single girl who had a sip of alcohol that had sex was raped. Like that's just a ridiculous premise to come at that
But
issue.
and by the way, there's entire like porn genres of drunken orgies at college.
Oh
So
yeah, I've seen
so
that.
we've got hundreds. I mean, their rape victim cases have statistics have skyrocketed.
Oh, there was this one where I was at a party and it was just like I came out of my blackout and it was like me and three other dudes were just like chilling and there's this girl, she literally propositioned all of us to just run train on her and like we're all just looking. I'm like I'm coming out of like a 3 hour blackout at this point. I'm still fucking hammered and I'm like, okay, this sounds like it'd be a too good to be true slash this seems like how every single person ever has been accused of gang rape, so I will not be participating in this
Yes.
activity.
Yeah, no, that was definitely one of those things. I was like, hey, college, that sounds like I don't know.
Admiral Akbar was going off in my head. It's a trap.
It's an elaborate ruse. I did. Somebody made a British version of him with a little mustache and a monocle. Hilarious. It's an elaborate ruse.
I think it's did you see Stanford? They outlawed hard alcohol at fraternity parties and people are getting up in arms like saying, "Oh, it's not the alcohol, it's the men who shouldn't rape." It's like, okay, hard alcohol is absolutely, because I brought this up in that class where I'm like, okay, like if you're going to look at the common thread in a lot of these issues, it's girls getting too drunk or guys getting too drunk. And why are they getting too drunk? It's usually because of hard alcohol. And why did they outlaw kegs? Because of date rape in the 90s and 80s. So at the same time, like, you know, you trade one bad possible thing with these kegs or open containers for vodka, and vodka is much worse. People get drunk way quicker and they don't know their limits.
Yeah, and I this is kind of probably a really old-fashioned way of thinking, but honestly, don't really understand this whole turn college into a party thing on college campus. You know, I understand that it happens off of campus too, but that's harder to think to manage. But you know, fraternity houses that having parties and shit, it's like, dude, just run. If you're rich enough to be in a fraternity, go fucking use your dues and rent a place off campus.
Oh, it's easier. Trust me, it's much easier just party in your house. There's way too much red
tape. Good point.
And shit.
No, it's a good point. It's just one of those things that we've turned. It seems that colleges have turned from, instead of a place of like learning shit and new ideas, it's going to like echo chambers to bitch about your own ideas to the people who want to hear your own ideas, and parties.
Sorry, one sec. My friend just texted me this thing about at UCSD. They have this program where it's if you call the call the ambulance for someone who's too drunk, nobody gets in trouble. But there's a bunch of schools like that's one of the main issues with like alcohol overdoses and whatnot. Is you have the externality of you get in trouble if you call the ambulance, so it's kind of you're damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, somebody's life. I'll take getting yelled at.
Oh no, I agree. It's just the thing is they'll come down on you so hard. It's really much easier to have someone get an Uber or sober driver and just take them to the hospital, especially with because I mean
Uber is faster.
Well, yeah, it's faster, and then also people get pissed when you call an ambulance because they get slapped with that 5-10 grand bill for the ambulance and whatnot, or the
dude, you're alive.
Oh no,
I'm broke. Thank you, Obamacare.
I threw up a little blood one time, and they're like, "Do you need an ambulance?" I'm like, "No, do not call an ambulance. I'm fine.
I got this.
I'm fine. And even if I did need to go to the hospital, don't call a fucking ambulance. Call a taxi."
Well, that's that again. That gets back to that whole healthcare conversation where you're forced to make a decision that ultimately you really shouldn't have to make. You know.
Well, I
If
mean,
you,
the ambulances get abused though, so I can kind of see.
yeah, but it shouldn't cost you to go to the hospital once you've been. If an ambulance comes and picks you up and you're not, then they charge you.
Well, the issue is ambulances are usually separate things from the hospital.
Oh
Like,
yeah, aren't they contractors?
yeah, so yeah, they invoice out and stuff, and that's the thing is, I mean, if I'm not like if I don't have a gunshot wound, they don't need a fucking ambulance because I'm not gonna die. Like I don't need that medical. I don't need to take that ambulance away from saving an old person who had a heart attack.
Exactly. Well, I think we're gonna have to probably wrap this up. We've been talking for a couple of hours now.
For sure. Yeah, it was a good stream. Yeah, just let me know if you want to stream. I enjoy streaming.
Well, so do I actually. Now that I've done it, I was like I said, I was a little worried since I was all by myself. So I definitely appreciate you coming on. This made it a lot easier to rather than talking to myself.
Definitely. Yeah, just yeah, let me know. All right, have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right, peace.